I can hardly believe it, but I think this thing's almost ready for its first trip down the road. What do you reckon? Can we do that? Maybe? Without leaving me stranded in the middle of nowhere? Of course you can. Oh, come on. Son of a... She would want to kick it off this way. These tyres have been sitting out in a paddock. No problem. Move it into a shed. No good. Well, I guess for everything else, we might see whether she's going to fire up again for us. Bit of pedal. Lots of choke. Come on, baby. It's going to be one of those days. Well, kind of. Okay, so she'll run, but only like full choke, which tells me that we have a fuel mixture issue. So I'm kind of willing to bet that this carby has managed to suck all the residual stuff out of the lines, and it's probably gummed up again. Maybe. That's my first guess. Interestingly, it doesn't look terrible inside. Okay, I think I've figured out the issue. So this had a bit of residual junk in it, but my idle screw, the mixture screw, was actually turning. The entire internal was just turning, which meant that my adjustments to it were doing absolutely nothing. So let's see if that's better. Okay, so it's back in. The fuel mixture screw, which I thought was adjusted to 1.5 turns out initial, wasn't adjusted at all because it was just spinning, which means that anything that I did with it actually did nothing. Just gonna go back into here. We really should do something about these grounds too. That's on timing a little. All right, let's call that pretty good. There we go. Running like an absolute gem. An absolute honey. Nothing, this huge leak we now have from the rocket cover gasket. And now for our next problem, we have decided that we want to leak heavily from the rocket cover gasket. So I guess we better fix that. You can never just be happy, can you? Interestingly, cork gasket still intact. Leaky. The rockers look about what I would expect them to look like. Not bad, not great. Reasonable enough. Platinum rocker cover gasket. Not sure why I have to borderline cut the thing myself though. So much thicker than the old one. Fitment's okay. Could be better, but for now it'll do. I think the one bit that wasn't really lined up very well was the bit that was leaking from last time. This one apparently needed to be screwdriver compatible. Give this a quick clean off because then that'll tell me if it starts leaking from the same spot again. Okay, so rocker cover gasket's back in, installed. We've cleaned up everything, done a few other little bits and pieces. So I put a battery clamp on, I've fixed the grounding to the battery, touched up the alternator wiring so it's not heinous. No, took out the electric fuel pump. So now, by rights, it all runs really nicely. Well, pretty nicely. I'm pretty happy. The thing I've got to do now is the electrics, mostly the indicators, and I've got to fix the broken indicator stalk, which I really don't want to do. I guess we better fix the lights. Damn it. Okay, let's do things. Okay, so the first part of doing this is we're going to have to take out this indicator carb, because see how it doesn't want to clip down here? It's actually broken on the bottom here. And then see this little notch to put a spanner on so that you can turn this out. Now this one's already loose because I've already taken it out. And then this whole assembly comes loose. I don't know that that's a factory tape job because it certainly doesn't feel like it. Even that clip, maybe it's not original, maybe it's been changed, I don't know. Don't pull those clips apart like that, they're not supposed to do that. I'm going to take this one off. I'm not actually sure what it's for, but it can come off. It's going to be in my way anyway. The illumination for the column shift that is not working. Slash needle's broken off. Interestingly enough, it wasn't actually held on, which was already broken. So, can go over there. I'm going to take these out. Got that little tiny circlip there that's holding everything together, so I've got to take that off. Okay, so that's separated, but I don't think it was a good idea because it actually didn't do anything other than pull the steering shaft out. Which wasn't really what we were going for. Whoops. Gives me some more room to get this out, so. The new switch, courtesy of GT Parts. Ironically, says in the instructions it does not come with the plug, but there's a plug right there. So, go figure. Alright, so we're going to just try and thread this through. Back over that bottom hole. Which is way easier said than done, but we'll manage. Hot tip for this project, you don't need to take the bolts out. Just take this piece out. Because everything else around the steering column sucks to get back together. So that's all that assembly back in, screws back in. Alright, that's everything back together. Let's try it out. Excellent. Okay. We're working, but the left's a little slow. It's okay, we'll take it. I'm going to throw the dash back together real quick, and we're going to go around and check all these lights out. Okay, so I got the dash back in, played around with the wiring, and now we have indicators, at least on the back. Indicators, who would have thought that was such a novelty? We also have tail lights, and I hope we have brake lights. We'll look at that in a minute. Right, so you'll see that the first thing I've done here is I've actually cut the connection off. These connections are old. This wiring has been hacked to pieces. If it turns out that from this point it's okay and this harness is actually bad and it's too bad for me to fix it, I can just make up a new harness and plug it in. Okay, so new plug connection's in. Also just tighten this ground up a little bit. Sort of trying to secure these a little better. You know, just a couple of little things. And we have tail lights. These ones are quite dull though, which is interesting. All right, let's see if the brakes work. Is that working? Can you see anything? Okay, so I found two inherent issues with this. So one, this is the grounding, which actually, these tail lights ground through the tail light frame, which means if it's not making good contact, then it doesn't work properly. And two, the wiring in these lights is about to fall apart. So I've just repressed and recrimped this, and suddenly I kind of, like, you can just see, just see that that indicator is working. If you look really closely, but it's barely there, which makes me think we've still got ground issues. So I'm going to clean up some grounds and see if that helps. One really easy way to test for ground issues. So if I just take a piece of wire and stick it to the body, and then I find a reasonable, what I know is good ground, and touch it together, suddenly our lights start working properly. So we know that it's a grounding problem, which is good and bad, because as I said earlier, these tail lights ground through the body, and I don't have a good body ground. Okay, so dodgy jump wire to a good ground, and we're working. Perfect. Tail lights also working. Excellent. Okay, here's the proper test. Brake lights. Lights off. Come on, that was working. You saw it. That's enough to be legal. Yes, good enough. Okay, new problem. So these are the seat belts that are with the car. And that's my clip. It doesn't fit. And there's no way for me to make that work. I'm gonna have to go steal something or buy something. All right, I came up with a solution. I just stole the belt out of the back and hooked it up to the chair. This one goes back in as normal. We have a seat belt. And it's only me in the car, so I only really need the one. So, good enough. So the last thing we're going to do before we take off is we're going to change out these wheel nuts, because they don't fit. They're okay to sort of move around on, but for a highway, not so much. So I got new ones. Pretty. And $45 seems like cheap insurance for not dying. All right, let's just attend to the last couple of things. Battery's good, this is good. We've chucked back on our bonnet catch and things. Seat belt's in. I can hardly believe it, but I think this thing's almost ready for its first trip down the road. What do you reckon? Can we do that? Maybe? Without leaving me stranded in the middle of nowhere? Of course you can. Let's be good. It'll be good. Okay, we're doing it. All right, let's see how we're going to go here. Ooh. Okay. We're still a little cold. That's okay. Let's go again. One more choke, maybe. Oh, we got some choke. My seatbelt is so twisted up, it's ridiculous. And way too short. Who wore these in the 70s? God damn. These were not designed for people. Alright, let's do it. Alright, there we go. 20, 30 miles. We pull really hard to the right. I think I've got a hung up rear brake, because every time I start braking it wants to sort of peel away on me, and every time we sort of come to too much of a stop to take corners, it wants to stall out. But overall, it's not bad. Not too bad at all. Old run's pretty happy too. 50. It's very floaty. It's feels like the back end's not held in properly or something. So it's at this point I feel the need to confess to you all, I lied to you. Not intentionally and not completely, but when I first started making this video, the name of the video was "Can this car drive 150 kilometers home?" or whatever it was. Now when I made that first video, this car was actually going back to our place in Melbourne, and the house that it was at was actually up for sale. Now the house that's for sale is actually my parents' old property, and at the time we were living in Melbourne. The house is in central Victoria, and it was just getting a little bit neglected. So basically what we decided was it was probably better for us to sell it off rather than let it get run down. That is until the end of last year, when our projected price for sale took a substantial hit, as did a lot of people's, and it suddenly wasn't worth selling the house anymore. So we decided to move home, ditch the rent in Melbourne, and I now work basically fly in, fly out, drive in, drive out, whatever you want to call it. That means that where the car is actually now where it's going to stay. So in terms of will it run and drive home, yeah, absolutely, I think it will. But it already is home, so it doesn't really need to go anywhere. Now that doesn't mean this car is going to get abandoned. It's not going back out into a paddock, and I have not spent this much time and effort and money to get this thing doing what it does now, to just let it fall apart again. So you will see more of this car, and let's be honest, after taking this drive, I think I'm a little bit in love again. Oh, there's something about the way an old Falcon, even this little 250, it goes. She goes. And it goes well. Have a listen to her. 0 to 60 still probably like like 25 seconds, and I don't care because it's excellent. Ah, what a good old car. No power steering sucks though. So somewhat of a propensity to stall, which could be a lot of things, but overall, excellent. So here she is, back where she started. Different, but still very much the same. So a couple of things that people have been asking is, how much have I spent so far just to get this thing running? And I thought it would be good to go over it quickly and just give some people an idea of how much it actually costs to get these things running again. There's quite a lot went into this, but I think I calculated it. I'll put a thing here or something with a tally, but I think overall it was just shy of $1,100 just to get it back running to the point that I can get in, hit the key and drive it. That is no rust work, no other restoration. That's not counting giving the grille a touch up or giving the tail lights a touch up, or the things that I just wanted to do. That is things that I had to do to get it running. So yeah, it adds up pretty quickly. You buy a car for $5,000 and you've got to throw another $2,000 at it before you even start. It makes life pretty hard. These things have a tendency to need a lot of other stuff as you go. Just taking this for the drive then, I know I need new suspension componentry because it rattles like a sock full of change. Something to keep in mind when you're looking at cars. So just because you can afford to buy the project does not mean that that's the end of spending money. I think that's why a lot of these things end up where they are. I mean, people buy them and they go, okay, I can afford that one. This one's only $5,000, $10,000, and it's a pretty good car. It just needs a few things. And those few things add up really quickly. And you only tend to find out after you've pulled everything apart. And then you go, oh God, I've got to spend another $1,000 before I can put this thing back together. And that makes it really hard. So that's why a lot of these things end up sitting in sheds, driveways, in pieces. And people get really upset about that. And I don't tend to get upset about it. I just feel sorry for them. The cars and the people. Because nobody pulls a car down with ill intentions, unless they're stripping it. The other side of the calculation is if I had have paid someone to do all of this, it would be into the thousands. Even just replacing parts, you double the price, more than. A new fuel tank's $1,000 on its own. A new brake master is $300 or $400. Like I said, it adds up really quickly. So hopefully by watching the channel here with me and sticking with me for a bit, you'll get to learn how to do a few things, save yourself a few dollars, and hopefully get your project up and running again, like I did. Thank you guys for tuning in and following. We're going to do some more stuff with this old girl, but I have been hanging out to drive this thing for a long time. So being able to take it out on the road and give it a proper blast is just unreal. I've got some more good stuff coming up, so make sure you tune in, and I'll see you in the next one.